Hi, everyone. My name's Ava, and I'm sharing my story with you today because, well, it's been a long journey, and I think it might help someone out there. I'm just a regular girl from Seattle, 28 years old, with dreams bigger than the Space Needle, but a heart that's been broken more times than I can count. This story is about love, trust, and what happens when the person you believe in shatters everything. It's about me and Ethan, and why I can't trust him again. Let's go back to the start. I was 22, fresh out of college with a degree in graphic design and no idea what to do with it. I was working at a coffee shop, slinging lattes and dreaming of a life where I could create art for a living. That's when I met Ethan. He walked into the shop one rainy afternoon, his dark hair wet from the Seattle drizzle, a lopsided grin on his face. He ordered a black coffee, no sugar, and made a cheesy joke about the weather. Does it ever stop raining here, or is Seattle just crying all the time? I laughed, even though the joke was terrible. Something about his eyes, warm, hazel, like a sunny forest, made me feel safe. We started talking. He'd come in every day, same order, same grin. He was 24, a musician trying to make it big with his indie band. He'd tell me stories about late-night gigs, writing songs under the stars, and how he dreamed of playing at Madison Square Garden one day. I loved his passion. It made me believe in my own dreams again. After a month of flirting over coffee, he asked me out. I said yes without thinking twice. Our first date was magical. He took me to a little park by the water, where we sat on a blanket and ate sandwiches he'd made himself. The sun was out for once, and we talked for hours about our families, our fears, our hopes of making something of ourselves. He played a song on his guitar, one he'd written about a girl who made coffee and smiled like she held the world. I knew it was about me. That night, when he kissed me under the stars, I felt like I'd found my person. Things moved fast after that. We were inseparable. I'd go to his shows, cheering from the front row as he poured his heart out on stage. He'd sit with me while I sketched, telling me my art was better than anything he'd seen in galleries. We were young, in love, and unstoppable. I trusted him completely. He'd hold my hand and promise we'd build a life together. My art is music, a little house with a garden. I believed every word. But love, as I'd learned, isn't always enough. Ethan had a side I didn't see at first. He was charming, but sometimes too charming. Girls at his shows would flirt with him, and he'd laugh it off, saying it was just part of the gig. I'd smile and nod, ignoring the knot in my stomach. He'd stay out late after shows, texting me at 3 a.m. with excuses about band stuff. I told myself it was fine. He loved me. He wouldn't hurt me, right? Then came the first crack. One night, I went to surprise him at a gig. I walked into the bar and saw him at the counter, laughing with a girl I didn't know. She was touching his arm, and he wasn't pulling away. My heart sank. When he saw me, he looked startled, then smiled like nothing was wrong. He introduced her as just a fan, but the way she looked at him told a different story. That night we fought. I asked if I could trust him. He swore I could, that I was being paranoid. I wanted to believe him, so I did. But the knot in my stomach never went away. Looking back, that was the first time I should have listened to my gut. But love makes you blind, doesn't it? I kept trusting him even as the doubts grew. I thought love meant giving someone the benefit of the doubt, no matter what. I was wrong. Fast forward 2 years. Ethan and I were still together, but things weren't the same. His band was getting bigger, playing gigs across the state. I was proud of him, but I missed him. He was gone most weekends. And when he was home, he was distracted. Always on his phone. I was working freelance now, designing logos for small businesses, but my heart wasn't in it. I felt like I was losing him, and I didn't know how to fix it. One night, he came home late, smelling like beer and perfume. I asked where he'd been, and he snapped at me, saying I was smothering him. That hurt. I'd never been the clingy type, but I was scared. Scared of losing the boy I'd built my dreams around. We fought more often now about little things, dishes, money, time. But the real issue was trust. I didn't feel safe anymore. Then it happened. I was using his laptop to check my email because mine was dead. A message popped up on his screen, a text from someone named Lily. My heart stopped. The preview said, "Last night was amazing. When can I see you again?" I froze. My hands shook as I opened the chat. There were dozens of messages going back months. Flirty texts, heart emojis, plans to meet up. My chest tightened. I couldn't breathe. I scrolled up hoping it was a mistake. But it wasn't. There were photos, Ethan and this girl, smiling, her arms around him. One message from him said, "Ava can't know. This is just between us." I felt sick. The boy I loved, the one I'd trusted with my heart, had been lying to me. For months. When he got home, I was sitting on the couch, his laptop open. He saw my face and knew. "Ava, I can explain," he started, but I cut him off. I screamed, cried, asked how he could do this to me. He said it was a mistake, that Lily meant nothing, that he was drunk and lonely on tour. He begged me to forgive him. He said he loved me, that he'd change. But his words felt empty. I looked into his eyes, searching for the boy I'd met at the coffee shop, but he was gone. I kicked him out that night. He left, promising he'd fix this, but I didn't believe him. I curled up on my bed and sobbed until I couldn't anymore. My heart was shattered. I felt stupid, betrayed, worthless. How could I have been so blind? How could I have trusted him? The weeks after were a blur. I barely ate, barely slept. My friends Mia and Sophie tried to help. They'd come over with ice cream and rom-coms, telling me I was better off without him. But I didn't feel better. I missed him even though I hated him. I kept replaying our memories, wondering where I went wrong. Was I not enough? Did I push him away? The pain was unbearable. One day, I found a note he'd left behind, tucked in a book. It said, "Ava, you're my everything. I'll never stop fighting for us." I tore it up, but the words stayed with me. Part of me wanted to believe he could change. Part of me wanted to run back to him, but the bigger part, the part that was broken, knew I couldn't trust him again. Life without Ethan was like learning to walk again. Everything felt wrong. I'd wake up reaching for him, then remember he was gone. I'd see his band's posters around town, and my heart would ache. But I knew I had to move on. I couldn't let his betrayal define me. I threw myself into work. I started taking on bigger projects, designing websites and branding for local startups. It wasn't my dream job, but it kept me busy. I also started going to therapy. My therapist, Dr. Lauren, helped me see that Ethan's cheating wasn't my fault. She taught me to name my emotions, anger, sadness, fear, and let them pass without swallowing me whole. It wasn't easy, but it helped. My friends were my lifeline. Mia dragged me to yoga classes, saying it'd clear my mind. Sophie took me dancing, forcing me to laugh even when I didn't want to. Slowly, I started feeling like myself again. I even started sketching for fun, something I hadn't done since Ethan. My art was darker now, full of sharp lines and stormy colors, but it was mine. It was honest. Then Ethan came back. 6 months after the breakup, he showed up at my apartment. He looked different, thinner, tired, like he hadn't slept in weeks. He said he'd quit the band, that he'd messed up and wanted to make it right. He'd been in therapy too, working on himself. He begged for another chance. My heart wanted to say yes. I missed him so much it hurt. But my head screamed no. I remembered the texts, the lies, the way he'd made me feel worthless. I told him I couldn't trust him again. He cried, said he'd wait for me, that he'd prove he'd changed. I closed the door, my hands shaking. It was the hardest thing I'd ever done. After that, I doubled down on healing. I started a blog sharing my art and my story. I called it Broken But Growing. It was raw, messy, real. People started reading it, leaving comments about their own heartbreaks. I wasn't alone. That gave me strength. But healing isn't a straight line. Some days I'd see a couple holding hands and feel so lonely I couldn't breathe. Other days I'd get texts from Ethan saying he missed me and I'd waver. I'd write long letters to him in my journal, then burn them. I was angry, sad, confused. But I kept going. I had to. One day I met someone new. His name was Noah, a quiet guy who worked at the bookstore I loved. He had kind eyes and a shy smile. We started talking about books, then life. He asked me out and I said yes. It wasn't love, not yet, but it was something. It was hope. Just when I thought I was moving on, life threw me a curveball. I got an email from Lily, the girl Ethan cheated with. The subject line was, "I'm sorry." My stomach dropped. I almost deleted it, but curiosity won. I opened it and everything changed. Lily's email was long, heartfelt, and shocking. She said she hadn't known about me when she met Ethan. He'd told her he was single, that he was on tour and looking for something casual. She fell for him, believing his lies. When she found out about me, she was devastated. She'd confronted him and he'd ghosted her. She'd been carrying the guilt ever since. But that wasn't the twist. Lily said Ethan had been lying to both of us about more than just our relationship. His band hadn't been getting big like he'd claimed. He'd been borrowing money from friends, racking up debt to keep up the rock star image. He'd even lied about quitting the band. He'd been kicked out for missing gigs. Lily had proof, screenshots, emails, texts. She sent them to me saying I deserved the truth. I was stunned. The Ethan I'd loved wasn't real. He'd built a fantasy and I'd believed it. I felt foolish but also free. Knowing the truth, ugly as it was, helped me let go of the what-ifs. I wasn't in love with Ethan. I was in love with a lie. I called Mia and Sophie, and we spent the night going through Lily's evidence. We laughed, cried, raged. It was cathartic. I realized I wasn't just healing from a breakup. I was healing from years of believing I wasn't enough. That night, I decided to confront Ethan, not for him, but for me. I met him at a cafe. He looked hopeful, like he thought I'd take him back. I laid it all out, the lies, the debt, Lily's email. His face fell. He tried to deny it, then begged for forgiveness. But I was done. I told him I couldn't trust him again. Not because of the cheating, but because of who he was. I walked away, feeling lighter than I had in years. After that, I focused on me. My blog grew, and I started teaching online art classes. Noah and I kept dating, taking things slow. He was patient, kind, nothing like Ethan. I wasn't ready to trust fully, but I was learning to. I was learning to trust myself too. It's been 2 years since I walked away from Ethan. I'm 28 now, and life looks so different. My blog has thousands of readers, and my art classes are booked solid. I've even started selling my sketches online, something I never thought I'd have the courage to do. Noah and I are still together, building something real. It's not perfect, but it's honest. I'm learning to love again, one step at a time. Looking back, I see how Ethan's betrayal broke me, but it also made me. It forced me to face my fears, my insecurities, my dreams. I'm stronger now, not because I'm unbreakable, but because I know I can rebuild. I've learned that trust isn't just about trusting others. It's about trusting yourself to survive when things fall apart. I don't hate Ethan anymore. I feel sorry for him. He's still out there, chasing a life he can't have, lying to himself and others. I hope he finds peace someday, but that's not my story to write. My story is about Ava, the girl who loved, lost, and learned to live again. If you're watching this and your heart's been broken, know this: you are enough. You don't need someone else to complete you. Trust your gut. If someone makes you doubt yourself, they're not your person. Healing hurts, but it's worth it. Surround yourself with people who lift you up. And don't be afraid to chase your dreams. You're stronger than you think. If this story touched your heart, please like, subscribe, and leave a comment below. Share your story with me. What's one thing you've learned about yourself from a tough time? Let's inspire each other to keep growing. And check out my channel for more stories and art tips every week. Thank you for being here. You're not alone.